Welcome, my friends. I hope you're doing well today. Thanks for joining me as always. Today, we have a topic to talk about that I guess you might have thought about in the past if you are a creator. Why should people listen? Are people listening? And as a result of several messages coming in from some of you, I have decided to address this. Why should people listen? Are people listening? Well, people will listen to you if you have value to share with them. One of my mentors would say, in writing a book, the question needs to be, will the reader turn the page? If the reader turns the page, you're on the right track. But if the reader doesn't turn the page, then you're not on the right track, right? If they tune out. So I want to address the landscape of music as we have seen it over the past number of years. And I just titled this The New Age Creator Manifesto. I want to give a shout out to those of you who came through earlier. You know how technical issues are. Sometimes they prohibit you from doing what you want to do when you want to do it. So, as a result of technology telling me no, I had to come on a little bit later. I want to give a shout out to our friends who are in the chat. See our friend Phoenix Benjamin. Good to see you, brother, as always. I want to give a shout out to Andy Tesla 2000. Are you a friend of Elon? That's a very Elonish name. That's got Elon all over it. Shout out to OG Gamers Live. I hope you're all doing very well. So, my camera is moving extremely slow today, so you may not see me as animated. It's like a Minecraft game gone bad. I might be pixelated for all I know, but let's talk about how the landscape has evolved. Now there are so many creators, so many people who are creating. Many. I have kids who are creators as well. So I know a thing or two about the topic because whenever kids know you're a creator, they want to know what number of likes or what number of eyeballs are on your content. And the reason why they ask that question is eyeballs are the new currency, right? If you have a large viewership, it probably means you're saying something that people want to hear. And if you don't, the kids immediately judge you. Even my nephew, as young as he was when I told him I have a YouTube channel, then he immediately wanted to know how many people are watching my channel. So it's a very interesting topic. But the world of AI has made it even more interesting because 2024 and 2025, it changed everything, didn't it? When generative tools arrived, the barrier to entry didn't just lower, it vanished. So overnight, we witnessed the birth of a new kind of artist, the new age creator. And the new age creator are those people without traditional production skills. Those people who, like Phoenix Benjamin and I, did not, unlike us, who went through the traditional way, these folks did not go through that way. They went through the sudden genie in the bottle, aka Suno or Udio. The genie in the bottle could suddenly summon the music in their imagination, help them bring the music out of their head. And it felt like magic, and it is magic. But that magic comes with a cost. And the cost is a crisis of expectations. We're flooding the world with polished, professional sounding to at least 97% of people. For those of you that know the survey that these are just carried out, only 3% of people can tell which music is AI and which is not. So I'd say about 97% of the people that listen to it will say, oh, this sounds professional and polished. But yet, behind many tracks sits uncertainty, self doubt, and a quiet question. And you know what the question is? The question is, if I didn't turn the knobs and if I didn't play the strings the same way Phoenix Benjamin plays his guitar, or the same way he belts out or croons on his rock tracks, am I really an artist? Is the question. Some folks are generating hundreds and hundreds of songs, and some folks are building, right? Some folks are building entire sonic worlds, and some are even turning soup cans into sound, right? Like our friend who recently came on Reddit and shared how he is transforming some of the Warhol imagery into sound, right? But yet, if the output is massive and the audience is silent, the hard questions must be asked. And I got to ask our friends on the call. Phoenix Benjamin says, OG Gamers is a producer friend who used to work with and owns Firestorm Records. Shout out to you, OG Gamers. Pleasure to have you here today. I'm curious to know what you think about this new world where, you know, everyone can suddenly tap into that kind of power. But the truth is, this is how we navigate the noise. I'm going to show you how to navigate the noise and how to transition from a user to a true artist. The foundation for anything is to start with why. Before you press generate again, before you go back to Suno or Udio, if you're one of the diehards that still goes there. I know many of you probably don't, but I guess some of you are diehards and you might. Or you go into producer AI, or you go into Kits AI, or Order Me, or those of you who are bold enough, Open Beats. Enough said about all that controversy. But the question is, why are you creating? Are you creating for yourself? If it's for mental health, if it's for therapy, creative satisfaction, or personal joy, proceed with wild freedom and abandonment. Go nuts on that stuff. Knock yourself out. Suno, sun up to sundown. Experiment endlessly. That path is valid and beautiful. And I was, first of all, the therapeutic prompter in Suno. I was creating for the pleasure of it. I'm like, wow, this tool is crazy. And I would get excited just hearing some of my ideas. I was not looking to do anything with it. I did not go into it thinking, okay, I'm going to like push out some of these ideas. So the first person is you. Creating for yourself is brilliant. That should always be a constant because the moment you're not creating for the pleasure of it for yourself, it goes back to doom and gloom, right? To the days where people would sign an artist and the poor artist is sentenced to creating an album, like the story of Forrest Frank, who was sentenced to creating an album and things went bad until he had given Shylock the pound of flesh. Then they let the poor guy be, and then things started looking better. We don't even need to look too far. Brother Phoenix Benjamin shared the story of how the draconian label held him hostage. Phoenix, you want to chat in to let the people know? Why don't you put a chat in and let people know what you've gone through with these crazy record companies and how they could hold you hostage. But beyond that, what about creating for an audience? There's absolutely nothing wrong in creating for an audience. If you want ears, hearts, and attention, because it's fun is no longer enough. You must answer the question, why should anyone listen to you? Let me be candid. If it's only for money, it will very likely fail. If you're dabbling into the world of creativity because you want a paycheck, it's going to fail. That had never, ever been part of my target. In fact, I was one of the unwilling, unwitting producers who was dragged out of minding my own business and you can produce my band. I wasn't even in it for money. I just wanted to help. And then I discovered I was enjoying it more and more. I love seeing ideas come alive in the studio, whether it's a solo artist or a choir or a band, instrumental or vocal. I get a buzz, I get a high. Okay. I get a high from producing, I get a high from creating. Now, if it's to share a message, you have a fighting chance, right? Purpose should always come before visibility. Our brother Phoenix Benjamin shared some stuff from his book. And by the way, if you have not watched our interview, you should watch our interview. And I would highly recommend going to his Gumroad. I'm just going to ask him if he can put that in the Gumroad link in the chat because he's come up with a book called The Phoenix Method that shares some really awesome principles that can take you as a creator levels above where many other people would. And I just want to give you some of the philosophies that coincide with what I'm talking about today. Because Phoenix Benjamin, quoting from his book, he said, a strong identity core, when you really know why you're in it, who you are, what's in it for you, right? We're talking about not the inspired by, not the kind of like such and such. No, no, no. We're not talking about any of that. We're not talking about similar to. No, none of that. You. Who are you? Strong identity. So you got to have a strong identity. That's what Phoenix Benjamin says in his book. He said you must have a stable tone, a recognizable voice, a consistent structure, predictable behavior, clear creative boundaries. And this is where we are right now. What are your creative boundaries? See? Purpose, as you can see here, should come before visibility. So if you're new to this stuff, I would encourage you to listen to Phoenix Benjamin in his work. Just listen to what he's saying. I know that it will greatly help your mental orientation and psychological orientation because if you're in this world of artificial intelligence music, you got to have your bearings right or you will become frustrated very quickly. So, money, it will likely fail. Some people might succeed, but it's a toss up, right? Sharing a message, you have a fighting chance. None of the answers are wrong, but each one leads to a different destination. If you want listeners, if you want reach, if you want impact, you got to first know who you are. That's 101 in Phoenix Benjamin's book. Know who you are and what do you represent. Your identity is not optional. Your message is not optional. Your why is the foundation that every great creator stands on. These are philosophies that are important. I know a lot of my videos on the channel are me creating in Suno, creating in some of the other tools, but this stuff comes before any of that. The mindset, the mental, understanding why you do what you do. So let's double down into the Phoenix Benjamin's methodology and ideologies. He talks about identity, right? You have a driver's license, you have a passport. It tells people who you are, where you're from. You need a passport in this world of AI music. In the sea of AI content, anonymity is your enemy. I see some of you having channels. I ain't even seen a single picture of you. How on earth are you going to connect with a live audience? How are you going to connect with people? Now, I know there's some faceless channels, right? I'm not saying there ain't faceless channels, but if you really want to connect with humans, you need to put yourself out there. When someone lands on your channel, they're not searching for Suno. They can go on Suno and prompt till the cows come home. They're searching for a human. So who are you? What do you look like? What do you stand for? What are some landmarks or familiar places that I see you in an environment? Or at least, what do you look like? Who are you? It's a valid question every consumer on YouTube has. What is your message? Do you have one? Or are you relying on the AI to craft it for you? Why should anyone listen? These are questions you should be able to answer. I have a two-sentence rule. If you cannot describe who you are and what you are about in two sentences, you're not ready to lead an audience. You're not. It's become more competitive. Real artists are becoming more combative for very valid reasons, right? If there's no human in the loop, what are we doing? Even if your music features an AI singer or a virtual band, you're still the creative director. Well, what is the image? What is the ethos? What is the spirit? You have to engineer those things in. Your audience would like to see a name and a face. As Phoenix Benjamin alluded to, it's a clear persona, clear persona, clear persona. And Phoenix Benjamin said that two-sentence rule changed everything. If you can't define your identity clearly, the audience can't connect. It becomes like a maze. Who's this person? What are they about? And then you now give your audience the heavy lifting of finding out what you're about. They don't have time for that. They go to other places where they can connect with people quick, right? So your audience wants to see your name, your face, clear, consistent persona, your story, what drives you, you in action, sharing your process. It's very sad that some people are still scared of the camera. Don't be scared of the camera, it doesn't bite. Turn it on, speak with people. You have no right to ask people for their attention if you're not going to put yourself out there. I'm just saying, that's my philosophy. Don't quote the faceless channels. I know there are many, but is that what you want to be forever? There must be a clear sense of who you are and what you represent. If they can't see you, if they can't feel you, your work becomes just another file, just another prompt in the endless sea of Suno music. Let's be perfectly honest. If you're not singing, you're not writing the lyrics, you're not playing an instrument, you're not telling a story that you've lived. Why should people listen? Is it fair that people should listen? You got to trade authenticity for attention. You see, Phoenix Benjamin said it very well in his book. And again, I'm encouraging you to look into this book because there's no other book that addresses these things. His book is not just about being an AI creative, it's about being an architect of your persona. He talks about the ability to produce series level work. And that comes from having a signature style that belongs to you. He talks about this in the book. You go to page 7 of the book, right? He says how to build your identity call step by step. You got to go to the book and read it. He gives you a blueprint, like a menu. You got to ask yourself, how do I do this? How do I build my image, right? He has at least 7 steps that you need to follow in order to execute on building your identity. And I'll just give you the first one. Define the role. Who is speaking? Who is creating? Who is the narrator? And then from there, follow the next 6 steps. You got to build your identity. It's not optional anymore. Okay. So let me make sure that link is in the chat because Phoenix, do type that in and help people to find your content. So, what is the hard truth about AI music? The hard truth about AI music is that anyone, look, trust me on this, anyone who can move, anyone that has the ability to click on a mouse, they can create high quality music today. A kid, one of my friends, a kid at 3 is able to create this stuff. 3 years old. 3 years old. So you need to ask the question, a child can press a button and feel like a producer. What does that mean? Two things. The barrier to entry is gone and the barrier to attention is higher than ever. People are just going to click next. So you're not just competing with other creators, you are competing with infinite content. As Deezer has shown us, what is uploaded to their website accounts for roughly 34 or so percent of the tracks, but it only accounts for 0.5% of the streams. OMG. What is that telling you? You ever been to a garbage dump? How do you distinguish yourself from the other garbage? The proverbial AI slop. It's a very sobering question, but when you hear the critics, you got to ask, okay, what are the elements of truth in what they're saying? So you're competing with musicians and non musicians, professionals and beginners, adults and children, and those with advantage and those without. Everyone now feels powerful when the button is pressed. So the question becomes, why should they, who have as much power, access to the power, listen to you instead of the next creator? If the answer is, well, because I made a cool track, it's not going to survive. If the answer is because I have a message and I'm here to share my voice, then you're on the right path. Okay. Brother Phoenix Benjamin says, in a world full of noise, people listen when they feel your purpose and your truth. That's what sets a creator apart. Absolutely. He also says, authenticity is magnetic. When creators speak from purpose, audiences move. Brilliant, brilliant, brilliant. So let's see. I'm looking for that link. Where's that link? Where's that link? Did you put the link in there, Phoenix? Okay. Let me look for it. Please excuse my higgledy piggledy camera view. It's not moving as swiftly as I would want. It might just be everyone's on the web at this time of the evening. Everyone's watching their little Netflixes and stuff and HBOs. All right, let me put this in the chat because I ain't seen the link. I really want you to be aware that if you are a creator, creative, and you're finding it hard processing these ideas and you're getting disillusioned because you put out like hundreds of tracks and maybe you get one or two plays. Yeah, you got to ask these questions. And this is a safe space, right? Nobody else is talking about this stuff, but we are. Okay? So I put the link in the chat and check it out. Phoenix says purpose always cuts through the noise. When people feel what you stand for, they follow the message. Absolutely. Absolutely. It's true. So again, a lot of these philosophies and many more. You gotta start learning these philosophies. I'm not here to entertain you. I'm here to be the sounding board. I could get on my keyboard and start playing. I could jump into Suno and start cooking in the kitchen, but that would be a selfish, self-centered approach, which is why I've been doing a lot less of that. I am really more about you folks finding your voice, finding your purpose, finding your truth. And that's why I'm online tonight. I'm here for you. All right? People don't fall in love with computers, they fall in love with people. They connect to spirit, they connect to struggle, values, truth. I wrote songs about encountering crazy people in the alleyway with submachine guns. I'm not talking about tiny little 9 MMs. I'm talking about big things blowing up cars in front of me and my survival. And that's a song I wrote, and it's a story, right? It has a message. So people shouldn't be listening to a machine. They should be listening to you using the machine as your instrument. The message matters more than the music. People gravitate towards songs that resonate with their spirit, their ethos, their values. And they gravitate towards creators who are authentic, who represent something meaningful. So if all you're doing is just releasing track after track, no face, no voice, even Zania Monet, her creator, came on and we see the person behind the creation, right? So if all you're doing is releasing track after track, no identity, no truth, and you're depending entirely on chance at that point. And some channels blow up because the algorithm somewhat smiles on them. Let's be honest, the algorithm is crazy. Look, let me explain. Those of you who like explaining the science of the algorithm. Let me tell you, the algorithm crazy. The algorithm, look, I have posted tracks on YouTube, videos, and maybe we'll get 2,000 views. And then I post the same song on a different day, same song on a different day, same channel, and it blows up to 50, 60, 70,000 views. How do you explain that? You want to tell me the algorithm ain't crazy? The algorithm doesn't suddenly one day malfunction or something happens. Yeah, it does. So for you to be pointing at other channels and saying, but Phil, that channel, they have all these views and this is happening and they're doing exactly what I want to do, but I'm not getting the same views. You're relying on dumb luck. It's not repeatable. Someone could have everything line up, just line up in their favor on a particular day. And if it doesn't happen on that day, it will never happen again. I've seen this happen tons of times. Even back in the day, some of you are too young to remember MySpace. I had stuff that blew up overnight on MySpace. It was so ridiculously viral that the very next day it was shut down. That's a crazy story for another day. But most channels grow because the creator stepped forward with authenticity. That is what is sustainable. So if you're counting on, oh, well, that person's doing it, so it will happen to me, you're lying. It ain't. It ain't. Your music is only part of your presence. Your message is the magnet. My brother Phoenix Benjamin was on the interview with me some days ago, and you heard his story, the life changing accident. A life changing accident. Now, when he takes that and puts that into song, you tell me how you're not going to be at the edge of your seat listening to what happened next. How did he survive? How is he here? You see. So if you're releasing track after track and nothing is happening, my friend, the problem may not be your output, it might be your absence. So don't just pump songs into the void. That leads to burnout and silence. If you're releasing music and nothing is happening, stop focusing on quantity and start focusing on connection. The way to stand out in the new age, I want to encourage you. Lots of you, hey, let me speak to some of you. Some of you, you're fond of saying, but Phil, I can't sing. But Phil, I can't play an instrument. Okay. But you can speak, right? You have a voice. Even the OG whose vocal cords were crushed in an accident is still speaking. I'm happy for him. He's got his voice back, right? But for those of you that do not sing, how about spoken word? I'm just throwing out an idea. Spoken word, right? Maybe you could narrate some of your music. I'm not saying all of it, but you could try narrating your thoughts and sharing your truth. How about showing your process? How about sharing the why behind your work? Have you tried that? I study a lot of leadership. My leadership coach is John Maxwell. We call him America's leadership guru. He's totally awesome. And John Maxwell, he says, people buy into the leader first. They buy into the person behind whatever is being done first, and then the vision. I'm telling you, when you step out from behind the shadows, step from out from behind the curtain, define your message, appear on camera, even just to introduce your work, act out your lyrics, right? Or visualize the themes in your music. Could be you walking down the street. It could be you at your desk. It could be you looking frustrated. It could be you looking happy. These are things that connect. Maybe you could let your music play in the background while you deliver a message. I'm just giving you ideas. Maybe you can go for singing lessons. Maybe you could go for piano lessons or violin lessons or sax lessons or guitar lessons or trumpet lessons or learn music theory. I'm telling you what you can use to bolster your message and give you that competitive edge. Build a narrative across your work, is what Phoenix Benjamin said in his book. Build a narrative across your work rather than disconnected singles, right? Now, even if you say, well, Phil, I really can't sing, or I can't rap, okay? Or I can't play an instrument. How about being present, being real? Because in this new era, my friend, the creator who wins is not the one who makes the most songs, it's the one who connects the deepest. Connection is going to outlive content. People will always remember how you made them feel, how they connected with you. The new age creator isn't defined by raw music scale or technical mastery. They're defined by vision and story, clarity of purpose. They ask themselves, who am I? What do I have to say? Who am I talking to? Who do I represent? What do I stand for? Why does my voice matter? How do I show up consistently? I just call this the five W's and the H. What, when, where, why, who, how. Things like that. So, as my friend Phoenix often says, once identity is clear, everything else follows. Who are you? Again, back to question number one. So, for the path forward, my friends, if you use AI tools, you are not less. You're simply part of a new era. But the ones who rise are going to be the ones who understand who they are, what their message is, who understand their audience, who understand connection, and who understand that music alone is no longer enough. There's so many wickedly good tracks on Suno. There are too many. It's sick. How do you think any of those tracks will stand out? And then people say, Phil, let's do follow for follow. Well, follow for follow is an illusion because I'm following you because you're my buddy. I'm following you just to exchange followership. What use is that? If I sincerely don't want to follow you, but I'm doing follow for follow, it's a warped model. Don't think like that. Don't think like follow for follow. Truly earn the eyeballs. Even if my buddy Phoenix Benjamin is out there and I'm like, I want him to be a follower of my channel. I'm not just going to say, "Oh, follow for follow because you're my buddy." No, I should earn his attention. That's how it needs to be, my friends. If you're truly in this stuff, remember in the beginning I asked you a question, are you in it just for fun, to have a blast? Like sometimes I'm in Suno to have a blast. I'm creating dumb, ridiculous songs. I'm trying to get a laugh out of my mom. I'm trying to trigger my kids. And I'm able to trigger them very quickly because I know the kind of AI stuff they hate. And I purposely create it to trigger them. But if you're not in it just for that, you want more, you got to come clean. You got to come real. And there are many tools available out there that can help you technically, but there are very few tools that can help you psychologically. And that's why I keep saying if you're new to this stuff, do yourself a favor, go on down to my buddy Phoenix Benjamin's page, Gumroad, take a look at what he's got, and I think you'll be quite illuminated. You'll be quite illuminated because it starts in the mind. You gotta strengthen your mind. So the tools have changed, the technology has evolved. The gatekeepers, they're still in the horizon, but they're largely gone. I know Sony is kind of waiting in the wings, and you know, being that Sony is they're really covertly a tech company. Sony is a tech company. I know they've got Sony Music Entertainment, but when you look at the history of Sony, I remember Sony has been tech stuff, audio stuff. They still have that leaning and identity, but I know Sony Music, right, is just one piece of them. But I know Sony's probably going to come out of the woodworks and not be as draconian as some people think they're planning, which means a lot of the gatekeeping is going to be out of the picture. It's out of the picture largely. But the rule of art remains, my friends. It must be human. This is your moment to define yourself, not as someone who presses a button, but as a creator with intention, a creator with identity, a creator with purpose, a creator who has something to say. All right? That is the future. That is the new age. And that is how you rise above the noise. I would highly encourage you, once again, look at the link that I've shared. I really don't have any other book to refer you to other than this groundbreaking one, which I am very, very highly convinced will change your mindset. It will, as a creator. You see, the book that my buddy has written here is not just a book for artificial intelligence. No, no, no. This is not an AI book. This is more than artificial intelligence. This is music identity blueprint defined. You get what I'm saying? I know a lot of the kids just want to play. They just want to jump in and create. But you got to get to a point where you ask, what is my why? What is my end game? Simon Sinek said, always start with why. And he's right. You start with why, and that guides your path. Okay? I'm going to give you one more nugget from a buddy's book. One more nugget. So, step one, he talked about defining a role. And step two, he talks about defining the tone. What is your tone? Phoenix Benjamin says, tone shapes emotion. What is your tone as a musician? And I want you to stop seeing yourself as an AI musician. See yourself as a musician, period. How do you see yourself as a musician? Write your own lyrics, for goodness sake. Write your own lyrics. Stop leaning so heavily on the tool to write your lyrics. Write your lyrics. That's why a lot of you don't feel you're in control because you ain't writing your lyrics. You're relying on the AI to do it for you. Write your lyrics, my friends. I'm not saying you can't use AI to clean it up. I've written programs, I've created software that can help you take your lyrics and clean them up, but at least they're your lyrics, they're your ideas. Start with that. And you start feeling more in control. You'll stop feeling, oh, I'm just a button pusher. To transcend the button pushing, follow these things. And again, I encourage you, check out the book. It's going to help you. Okay. And then go on to philc.net. When you get to philc.net, you'll be able to locate this deck. And I put this deck under, I believe it's under AI leadership. Let's see where that is. So under AI leadership, we have the new creatives. And that's where I put this manifesto. Okay. Read it over and over again. I just want you to succeed. Okay. I just want you to win big. I was on a call with my buddy Phoenix before. I told him, "Hey, I got to get off the call. We got to talk to people out there who need to hear this message." And that's why I'm on the call tonight. We could have still been on the call talking about music. He was showing me his music studio and his fancy gear when we had to get off the call to come talk to you awesome people. All right. So I wish you all the very best. Um, I hope you're taking a look at what Phoenix is saying in the chat. Honestly, this is good stuff, Phoenix, because I don't have any other tool to point people to. So I appreciate you being on the call, and I really hope people take advantage of it, and I hope you will continue to share these awesome philosophies. I got really excited. You can go watch the video. I was spiraling in excitement because I'm like, this is the stuff people need to hear, and it really is. It is. We have a lot of technical books for musicians, but we don't have a whole lot of psychological, and the psychological's got to come first. All right, my awesome friends. Let's see who else came through. Serving my Redeemer, going from flat to flash. Oh dear, you light the fire and people are going to come and watch you burn. That is a very powerful one. Good to see you on here, my friend. Thanks for coming through. Lost in translation. It's been a while. Good to see you here, my friend. Thank you for coming through. Reverend Dream 1999. Thank you very much for coming on. Always a pleasure to see you folks coming through here. I know it's a little bit late. OG Gamers, appreciate you. Oh dear. AI is but a tool. There you go. Another OG in the game sharing the truth. All right. Thank you all very much. And I wish you a happy rest of the week. Keep creating, stay encouraged, and remember, it's all about identity, it's all about reality, realism, realism, you know. Just come clean and let people know who is behind the creation. Because a lot of times, when you watch a TV show, you always wonder, okay, I wonder who is this actor really? And then when you get to know the actors behind the show, you even feel more attached to the show. You know what I mean? Anyway, enough said. Thank you, my friends. All the very best. I'll see you again soon. Bye for now.